Hello, everybody. I'm Ricky Smith. Welcome to Faith on Friday Presents. At Faith on Friday Presents, we're all about highlighting inspiring people, engaging topics, and small businesses. And while you're here, don't forget, subscribe to this YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram. There's some fun stuff out there too. All right, parents, today is all about you. We know that being somebody's parent can be hard. It can be maddening, frustrating, irritating, and the best job you'll ever not get paid for. But how do you do this amazing job to raise resilient, very emotional, intelligent kids who are ready to take on the world with strength, with wisdom, and boldness? I don't know either, but our guest today is going to help us with that. Everyone, please say hello to Angela Legh. Hi, Angela. How are you?
Hello, I am so good. And thank you so much for inviting me onto your show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. Okay, full disclosure, y'all. The woman is a powerhouse. We're gonna get into it. I'm trying hard not to fangirl, and it's not going well. Angela, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're located.
So we'll start with where I'm located. I live in Taos, New Mexico, way up on the mountains. And well, I think Texas is just a stone's throw away, but as is Colorado. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So about me. So I had an alcoholic father, and he was a raging alcoholic. And I had a very saintly and angelic mother. And what I learned from both of them is many, many different ways of how to repress emotions. Because my mother would not be reactive to my father. She would just swallow her words and stuff it inside. And my father, he used alcohol to escape his feelings, to numb those feelings that he didn't want to feel, which is emotional repression.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You saying that, I'm sure a lot of our listeners and those watching can kind of relate.
Oh,
We,
very much.
we had different sets of parents. And then you have parents that you have when you're a toddler. You have parents that you have when you're that tween age. You have parents then who are your parents when you're in your teenage years. And then you have parents that are parents to you when you're an adult.
Yeah. And it's all different um,
Yeah. Yeah.
interactions,
And it
basically.
all comes from someplace different. So you talked about, your mom had to bite her tongue. Your dad drank to repress the feelings. Let me ask you, Angela, what did that do to you all as kids?
Mm. Well, the emphasis was on raging for my father. So, what I learned is rage and anger. As a very young child, I decided that was not something that anyone should have to feel or experience, being the recipient of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided I couldn't be mad. And
Wow.
that decision was made at maybe 3 or 4 years old.
Mm-hmm. Oh my
So I
goodness.
grew up denying my anger, repressing my anger,
Mm-hmm.
and just in total denial. When I talk about emotional repression, I delineate, there are
Mm-hmm.
different ways we do it.
Yeah.
We were all taught by our parents
Mm-hmm.
because they never learned how to express emotions. So there's denial that I don't even have that feeling, and I'm proud that I don't have that feeling, which was where
Wow.
I was.
Yeah.
And then there's suppression. I know I have that feeling, but I'm just gonna press it down. I'm not going to try. I'm going to try and not experience that.
Right.
And then there's escape, which is numbing with alcohol, drugs, gambling, eating, anorexia, bulimia, self-harming,
Mm-hmm.
all these ways that people try to change how they feel.
Right. Wow. And all of that and you're someone's parent. Now, in the intro, you heard, raising kids can be tough. It's
Oh,
hard
yeah.
enough as it is. And then you turn them out into the world with these things that, as parents, we have given them. I used to tease my kids that, hey, I'm going to make you more interesting to your therapist. You're welcome. You
Thank you.
know, exactly. So here you are. Now, one of your premises is that raising emotionally intelligent kids is possible.
Mhm.
Let's
Oh, yeah.
talk about that a little bit. First of all, what is emotional intelligence for a child? We've heard it in corporate America. We've heard it, at these various coaching things. But for a kid, what's emotional intelligence?
Well, I'm going to start with one of the extreme parts of it. So, we have all been triggered by the words or behavior of another person.
Mhm,
If you are in touch with your emotions, if you understand what is bringing up your reaction, or, how did you originally get to that place where you're reactive to that
mhm,
particular behavior, then you have the ability to control. You have the ability to make choice.
mhm.
If you're just reactive, there is no choice, there's no control. It's
Right.
just explode.
Mhm. Wow. But how do you make that choice? I'm 5. I'm 5 years old. I was born with the innate mine, me, don't touch my stuff. And now I'm 5 and I am hurt. I'm angry. I feel rejected. I don't know what to do with them. How am I making this choice?
So as a 5-year-old, we will make decisions about who we are and how we're supposed to be in the world based on how our parents react to us and our behaviors.
Mhm.
So in that case, my advice is for the parent to say, look, this is a 5-year-old, and they're
Yeah.
not going to they don't have the conscious ability to make those
Mhm.
kind of decisions. Your role is to say, hey, I get it. You must be feeling really bad. Tell
Mhm.
me, how does that feeling show up in your body?
Wow.
And really bring the child's attention into the feeling.
Mhm.
Um, this practice allows the energy to flow because our feelings are energy.
Yeah.
And we have all been taught to stop those
Mhm.
feelings.
Yeah.
What happens when you stop energy?
Yeah.
It builds up, it piles up, and it will explode.
Mhm. It's like
So,
that ball in the water. You can push it down as far as you can, but if you
but
don't hold it, it's gonna come booming out of the surface of that water. So what
and
you're
we
saying, go ahead.
yeah. Well, just on that, we have all seen people be overreactive to
Mhm.
circumstances.
Right.
Guess what? That's the ball in the water.
Woo. That
Yeah.
is so true. I'm thinking back on some of my issues, whole nother show. But anyway, so a lot of this that you're saying that teaching and raising these emotionally intelligent kids is really about the parenting. Is that right? Is that fair to say?
It's very fair to say.
Mhm.
That is why I started my television show, Children's Lives Matter, because I understood when I look at my parents,
Mhm.
they weren't given the tools for positive expressions of emotions.
Right.
They were only taught by their parents how to repress.
Mhm.
They're there, don't feel that way.
Yeah.
Don't cry. Boys are not
Oh,
supposed to cry.
big boys don't cry. I hate that so much.
Pull on your big girl panties and smile.
That's it. Really though. Yeah.
There are all these messages that are basically saying, you know what you're feeling? Don't feel it.
Don't feel it. Yeah.
Don't feel it.
And then you go out into the world with these non-feeling feelings, and you're
Right.
expected to cope with this and deal with and function in what our social norms society says we should be and do. And you have no way to function. Hence the now I'm clubbing all night, I'm drinking, I'm dating far too much. And I don't mean in the good way. I am looking for, I'm an overachiever in my education, in my career. I'm doing all these things because I don't want to feel what I'm feeling.
And those are the more positive ways. If you
Uh-oh.
think about it, there's self-harming.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is a way of dealing with emotions
Mm.
that is very damaging to yourself.
That is so true.
So
Angela,
I
how
do.
did you get into this? Because this is such a big thing. I can't imagine that you were 15 and like, today I'm going to wear these super cute shoes, talk to Brad, and then become an emotional intelligent person to teach parents. How did you get into this?
I lived 32 years in a toxic marriage with a man who used basically I can't even think of the word. He used toxic tools to control and try and
Wow.
keep me down. And
Wow.
and before that I had my father.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I, one of the things that I say is I experienced bullying for 54 years. And through that I learned how
That's
to deal with
horrible.
emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that, how did you cope? Did you confront it or did you
Mm.
avoid it? What did you do for those years?
Yeah, there's so many levels. Um, at times I would confront it, but that only made it worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when someone is emotionally, the hurt people.
It's still true.
So,
It is still true. Yeah.
yeah, my former husband was emotionally, I don't want to say damaged, but
Mm.
he had emotional wounding,
Sure.
and he would lash out.
Hmm.
And if I lashed out at him, that just escalated it.
Sure. Yeah.
Sometimes I would lash out because I just couldn't take any more of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
But then I
Wow.
was always sorry for doing.
Oh, yeah, I can only imagine. And
Yeah.
so then in that situation, again, because what I just heard you say, look into your past to deal with your future or your now.
Yes.
Because if you don't know, literally, if you don't know where you came from, and I think it was Winston Churchill who said, if you don't know your history, you're destined to repeat it. And when you said you had your dad and then you married this man, did you, in essence, marry your father?
I did, except my former husband didn't drink.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was doing a little bit better.
Sure. But you kind of married what was familiar. The
Yes.
rage, the anger, the emotional, what would you call it? The emotional insecurity of him, that
Manipulation and yeah.
manipulation, yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, how could our kids not be messed up? On your website, one of the things that you have on there, which I think is absolutely brilliant, are the different parenting styles. Can
Yeah.
you talk to us a little bit about that? I found that to be absolutely fascinating.
So that was information I ran across when I was researching to do an article. And I knew, for instance, that my former husband was what would be called an authoritarian parent, meaning
Mhm.
I say this and you're going to do it or you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
And we've all experienced that.
Mhm.
Many of
Do it
us have
because I said so.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
The outcomes when you take that tactic to raise a child are not optimum for the child. So there are, psychology basically came up with it. There are these four different styles. There's authoritarian, authoritative, neglectful, and
Passive.
passive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I read it.
So in
That's me.
all, in three of those four styles,
Mhm.
there are very negative outcomes.
Yeah.
And only one of the style has pretty much positive outcomes.
Interesting.
But the other part of it is sometimes we need to step into that authoritarian role with
Sure.
our kids. When they're
Mhm.
2 years old and running out in the street, you're not going to say, "Oh, baby, come back."
Yeah.
You know,
Sweetie, let's think about this before we
didn't
do
I
it.
tell you about
Yeah.
cars? Yeah.
You're gonna run out there and snatch him by the
Yeah, grab
diaper and
that
drag
kid.
him back. Yeah.
Don't run it straight. I get
Exactly.
it. Sometimes we're in those life or death situations,
Yeah, exactly.
gonna have that reaction.
Mhm.
Um, but of course, if we do have a reaction with our child, then it's important for us to later on when we've come down say, gosh, I'm really sorry
That's so
I
good.
blew up at you.
Mhm.
I know that's not the optimal behavior and I call you on it. I'm going to call me on it.
Yeah. I mean, you think about that. If more of us as parents had gone back to the child after whatever and said, "Sweetie, mommy, sorry. I didn't
Oh,
mean to do that. I should not have done that." You know,
mhm.
how different would that have made us as adults?
How
We would have
much
seen.
resentment would
Yes.
children not have?
Right.
And
Wow.
that leads to the question of expectations.
Uh-oh. Wow. The expectations.
Oh,
That's a whole nother thing.
that could be a whole show.
It really can be.
I
Yeah.
The only thing that I want to bring to our listeners is
Mhm.
that think about the motivations behind your expectations.
Oh, so good.
Are they for you to look good in the world? So I want my son to be a lawyer because I've been a lawyer and my father was a lawyer. And if he does something else, I'm not a good parent.
Wow.
That is not a good motivation based on
Mhm.
the child's needs, wants, desires. So when you are, setting expectations,
Mhm.
what's your motivation behind it?
Yeah.
I tell the story of two brothers. One was a Wall Street stockbroker, worked 80 hours a week, earned millions and millions of dollars, had a private plane, jetted all over. His brother moved to Hawaii and lived in a shack
Mm.
and taught kids how to surf. So every parent will think, well, brother number one's a successful one.
Sure.
But what about quality of life?
Yeah. Yeah.
If we look and say, what's a well-lived life,
Mhm.
brother two would be the success.
It's amazing.
So just think about what are your
Yeah.
motivations?
What's your motivation? My
Yeah.
gosh. I have 4 kids. I have 2 of everything they make, and each one of them got out of this house alive, educated, and are doing well. This is
Nice.
how I know that God is real. That being said, because there were some
Well,
times as a parent, it's hard. Angela, it's hard
I
being
want to
somebody's
say
parent.
I did an interview with Lisa Nichols.
Oh, I love Lisa Nichols.
Oh, she is so amazing.
Yeah.
We were talking about Black Lives Matter
Mhm.
and that I took a class that was white privilege, understanding white privilege.
Wow.
And what that class did for me was made
Mhm.
me understand, and Lisa really, she articulated this so well,
Mhm.
but that what the privilege is that you don't have to think about
Yeah.
some of the things that other parents think about.
100%.
So when you say you raised 4 kids and they're all successful, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, my son when he was 16 and,
Mhm.
getting in the car to go out at night, I didn't have to worry
I
that he'd
did.
get shot by police."
Oh my gosh, Angela, you don't even understand how cool it is that you would say that and recognize it. So, yay for this class, because a lot of our listeners and those watching are parents of color, and we've had
Yeah.
to raise Black boys in a
Oh,
society that
and
says
yeah, I have
you
chills.
are a threat. Yeah, trust me. When one of my sons went to school in Alabama, he was walking home from work one evening and was stopped by the police. Walking home from work. This kid's an engineering student at the University of Alabama, walking home from his job to his little crappy apartment, by the way. and he was stopped by the police simply because there was a robbery somewhere else and he fit the description.
Because of his color.
Exactly. So it's
Mm.
interesting for you to say, thinking of that as parents, parents of color versus, Caucasian parents versus Asian parents versus. We all have our thing, but the privilege of is set aside, not necessarily for the us. You know what I mean? So that is wow. Yay. I love Lisa Nichols even more now. But I understand, I know her story too, her testimony of being a single mom and raising her kid by herself and all the things that went down. So one of these days, Lisa, you will be on my show. Till then, however.
We'll plant that seed.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, Angela, there's so much, but let's jump ahead because I want to talk about your book series. Tell
Okay.
us about your book series, which is so phenomenal.
Thank you. So I'm going to start off with what I want every parent to understand is that your child is a gift and your child is beautiful and magical and special just as they are. And that is the energy behind my books, to let kids know that they don't have to put on a role or they don't have to put on a mask to be someone else,
So good.
that they need to be them because they bring a gift to this world.
Mhm.
And we are going to be so blessed by this next generation. I am so excited about it. But my books are there to support this next generation so that they can, truly understand how special they are.
Yeah. And tell us the name of the book series.
So they're the Bella Santini Chronicles,
Mhm.
and they are magical fairy tales, but woven into the story is emotional intelligence, understanding that hurt people, understanding how, and we haven't even talked about this, but how people project their wounding onto
Yeah.
others. And having these awarenesses allows people to make choice.
Mhm. Wow. And it's so good. I went online and I was looking through some of the books. Yes, y'all can get the books on Amazon and our website. But anyway, neither here. I mean, Angela, you have so between the book series, the work that you're doing, the two TV shows that you have. Tell us about your two TV shows really quick.
So I co-host on Every Child Can Learn on Thriving Women Network, and it streams on e360tv.com. So all you have to do is go to e360tv.com and you can find the show. Um, that show is really aimed at teachers and parents to some degree, but talking about progressive education and how we can teach to the child and the
Mhm.
child's needs, and the
Yeah.
child's interests,
Mhm.
so that there's moving away from having that, didactic classroom
Right,
where,
exactly.
yeah, you're going to learn
We'll
geometry,
all
whether you
learn
need
this.
it or not. Yes,
Exactly.
yeah. But, can you imagine a classroom where, mm, let's say, boys in fifth, sixth grade are building rockets and they're learning mathematics from
Mhm.
rockets. They're learning astronomy and aerodynamics from rockets.
Mhm. That's amazing.
And yeah, so it's kind of like, okay, let's take something that interests the kid and
Yeah.
then we
Yeah.
can teach history about that.
Mhm.
We can have them read about it. We can teach math involved in it. And let's make it more
All the things.
holistic and interesting.
Yeah. Oh gosh, if school had been more interesting, I'd be a PhD right now. However,
Me
it
too.
is. Angela, there's so much stuff here. You are just an absolute joy. If someone wanted to reach out to you to find out more about you and your work, or just continue this conversation, where's the best place for them to find you?
So the best place is my website, angelalegh.com, AngelaLegh.com. And on that, you'll see there's books, and that accesses all my books. there's television, and that access the two shows. The other show is Children's Lives Matter, which is the show that I write and produce. And so that show is all for parents. It's 100% for parents, for you to understand what, primarily your teen may be
Yeah.
going through.
Wow.
S Yeah.
That needs to be a whole show. Everybody, don't worry. If you did not get all of that information down, everything's going to be in the description below. And don't forget, subscribe to this YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram. Angela, my friend, before I let you go, we got to play a game.
Fun.
So this game is super simple. It's called What's Your Favorite? I'm just going to ask you a series of things, and you're just going to tell me what your favorite thing is. Are you
Okay,
ready to play?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. All right. What is your favorite kitchen gadget?
Ah, the toaster.
The toaster. I love that. That is so good. In the age of air fryers, your toaster is your favorite gadget. No worries. What's the favorite app on your phone?
I think it's YouTube.
Oh, okay. I'm not mad about that. That's all right. What
Could be
is,
Instagram though.
yes, so basically any social media that you can scroll through is what you're saying.
Uh, no, it's really it's about can I find something of value? So when I
Ooh,
go on YouTube, I'm looking for spiritual insights or meditation or something that is supporting me in my journey. And when
oh,
I go
that's so
on
good.
Instagram, I'm looking for people who are posting that kind of stuff.
Wow. So you're so much better than the rest of us. I just scroll through to see what clothes people are wearing. Anyway, whatever.
Well, sometimes I scroll. I mean, I am no better than anyone else. Yeah.
Sure
No,
you are. That's okay. It's our story, Angela. We can tell it any way we want. What is your favorite time of day?
it's so hard to choose.
Okay.
I love mornings. I
Mm.
get up and I make a coffee. I make a mocha and sit down and watch the sunrise.
Oh, wow.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I've seen that on Instagram because I'm not awake. So, what is your favorite genre of music?
Mm. I grew up, I was into punk rock when I was in high school, so I
Wow.
still like alternative.
Hmm.
And so I would have to say alternative music is my favorite.
That is kind of a surprise for me. I did not see that, but okay. And finally, my friend, what is your favorite childhood memory?
Mm. So, and this is going to seem weird, but when uh when my mom divorced my father and we were in a car driving north, we were going to get a new place to live, go into a new place. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is such an adventure."
Wow.
And never in my childhood did I think that the divorce was a bad thing. For
Hmm.
me, it was a good thing because
Yeah.
then I didn't have to be around my dad.